Nothing left to lose now. Everything to prove now. Long as I'm alive, I'ma fight back. My fire never cools down. I'm about to catch fire. Yeah, I'm about to catch fire. Get ready for the new me. Get ready for the new me. Try to hold me down and I go higher. Try to put me out and I go louder. I'm a fighter, a survivor. Stand back while I catch fire.
And a very warm welcome to Europe in prime surf season. The world's best surfers convene in the old continent to do battle for points towards that qualification situation. And we are delighted to be back in Portugal. It's the MEO Vissla Pro Ericeira. And joining me, Paul Evans in the studio to go over some insight and analysis. It's a good old-fashioned surf chat. Mr. Ben Mundy, Mr. Peter Mal. Morning, guys.
Morning, Paul. Great to be here.
That's so true. 2 years since I've been able to hang out with you guys, and it's good to be back. I love Portugal. I love the waves, and I can't wait to watch the Challenger Series get underway.
Because this time of year, early October, we've got a little kind of sniff in the air of kind of autumn fall this morning. Hopefully with some of that offshore winds too, but we're hoping for some pretty good waves this week.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm not the expert here, but having talked to some of the locals, some of the genuine sort of OGs, they're calling big waves all week, next week especially. We've got waves out the front now. We'll get the call soon, I think, and find out exactly where we're at. But it's autumn in Portugal. Autumn in Europe it's a special time of year, Paul.
And Pete, things kind of this time of year, it's time in sort of pro surf careers where it all starts to get almost that kind of home straight energy. Things start to get a little serious, particularly this year.
It sure does. With all the changes, I mean, we've had a pretty tough year and a half for competitive surfing, and now we're getting back to it. We had the U.S. Open recently, which was exciting. We had the WSL Finals, the Ripco WSL Finals, which were amazing. One of the best changes, I think, in pro surfing that we've come across in the chat that we had. I mean, it was exciting. So going forward, a lot of great news, the Challenger Series being a big part of it.
So a lot going down recently. You mentioned that US Open. Generally, that's a mid-season event, kind of almost like the barometer for pro surfing. This year it kicked off our Challenger Series, and some big stories coming out of there. Feels like a lot went down.
Yeah, we'll digest it all. I'm still digesting it. I mean, there was a lot that went down. Pushing that event back a month, I think, really helped the surf. I mean, because it was pretty fun and very different than what we usually see from Huntington Beach, although very similar too. But ultimately, there was a lot of surf. Every day we woke up, we knew we were going to be running competition.
And Ben, I know you were watching this from afar. Some enjoyable action there at Huntington Beach, and the stories for men's and women's division. Bunch of really interesting storylines to unpick.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the thing about this Challenger Series, I think, Pete, you might agree, is that every heat had something on the line, doesn't there? You know, there's only 4 events that go into this, and these guys, every time they paddle in the water, their careers or this year's CT qualifications on the line, and that man, Jake Marshall, looked pretty strong.
He did, you know, and he's got his posse here with him. I saw him yesterday when I showed up here. He's cruising with Nolan Raposa, who was a semifinalist, that kid right there. They're cruising together. Luke Gordon, another kid from the South Carolina. So they got a bit of an American posse. And you think about right now in that Challenger Series rankings, in the top 25, there's 10 Americans. Kalohe Andino involved there, Griffin Colapinto at the top of it.
A lot of star-spangled banners, and
yes.
They'll be looking to just roll that energy over here. Griff getting that massive result. And we talk about kind of those crews that you sometimes, a group of kind of peers get together in surfing. It feels like these young Americans, they've got that energy at the moment.
It's really, really cool. In my era, it wasn't about that. We cruised as a group, but within that group, we were pretty tough on each other. Whereas the groups now, like you look at what the Reckless Isolation group with that orange sweatshirt, like that crew, they're just now in Santa Cruz, and they brought a huge posse of Groms together as a group, and they're loving each other. They're lifting each other up, which is something which is really cool, especially what we're doing on Earth right now. It's something totally different, is to be coming together as a community and just for a common purpose of riding waves.
And on the women's side, of course, a bunch of breakthrough stories. We just saw some action there. Caitlyn Simmers, what a performance from her. And I don't know if many people in the surf world at large knew too much about her, Ben, previously.
Yeah, I think probably those Americans that watched the junior career, she's only young, 15, but she just proved herself. And every now and again, it's probably every generation or every 5 or 10 years, you get a performance that sort of, you know, is a hallmark for the future. And I think Katie Simmers' performance there in that US Open where a 15-year-old just goes through a packed field, surfs all the way to the final, does, you know, big turns like that and finishes it off. I think we've got a bit of a star on our hands. Do you think, Pete?
I would agree. I mean, just being able to watch her performance throughout that event. Gabrielle Orion is another one that is a young star at 19. At 15 years old, though, I mean, there's a couple 15-year-olds that are coming up in American surfing for the women that are incredible. And what they're doing in the Waco wave pool and what they're doing in performances like that at Caitlyn Simmers is just incredible.
So you mentioned how we kind of changed the format slightly. 4 events for our Challenger Series this year. That was the first of those in Huntington. Of course, the second of those 4 goes down here. So basically, it all comes down to this. It all gets kind of distilled and boiled down to a couple of months in the back half of the year.
It's so true. We are keeping a 1 result from the 2020 start of the season. We had a few events that ran. We had, Morocco. We had the Challenger Series at Manly. There was a couple 6,000. So anybody who had a really good result are able to carry that over to if it comes into fruition for them. And then these last 4 events are huge. You know, I mean, biggest points, 10,000 points for taking the win. So, yeah, 3 out of those basically 5 results you'll be able to keep. You know, you're looking at 30,000 points. It's a perfect season. See if someone can do it.
Looking at our draw here in coming into Portugal, let's have a look at those women's rankings and to see where we are exactly now on our Challenger Series. But kind of brand new territory in lots of ways, and people not really familiar with what that means, where they are, and how this is going to pan out. Basically, you just need to keep making heats.
Yeah, I had a talk to one of the surfers, as we said, the women's ratings there. So those 2 Americans sort of out in front there, Gabrielle and Caitlyn Simmers. And you go the way down, everyone's not quite sure what points they need. I mean, these guys, these QS guys are sort of supercomputers when it comes to number crunching their rankings. But I was talking to Liam O'Brien, for example. He was like we're not sure, 12,000 points it could be, but yeah, so which means you just got to take every heat and every event on its own, really, and then see where you pan out. But yeah, these guys and girls will be looking for quarterfinals, sort of minimum as a counter, I would say, and we'll take it from there.
And then another change being is that we're not seeing any double qualifiers. For the women, we're going to see the top 6 be in there. So if a CT surfer's in there, that spot stays a CT surfer as a wild card. So you'll see that'll be a change. We don't have double qualifiers, which I actually ended up finding out going, wow, that's kind of interesting. It's a new thing. But again, it goes back to the WSL and bringing the best surfers into the events, and some of those wild cards will be some fun faces to see in competitive surfing.
And some familiar names, always standouts at elite level of competition, and some results and past events here in Portugal has been a really important place to put a result together in terms of getting on that leaderboard. Let's have a look at the men's side and see where we are on the men's rankings in our Challenger Series for 2021. Just 1 event in, as Pete mentioned, are keeping our best result from 2020 season as well. Cola Pinto out in front after that big result in Huntington.
Yeah, Griff, so he's won the CT service. He's the world number 6, so he's obviously got his CT qualification in place. He won't be surfing here. Those guys there, Jake Marshall and Liam O'Brien. I was just talking about Liam. So he's had 2 5,000, 2 quarterfinals, one from 2020, and that last quarterfinal finish in the US Open. So you can see where his points are. Yeah, a lot of those guys. Kanoa, he's surfing this event. So that's amazing. He's got a house here close by, so he'll be one of the favourites. But yeah, Matt Banning, for example, he's injured. So there's a lot of guys in there now that, you know, not household names, but sitting on the cusp of CT qualification. In just 4 events, your dream can suddenly come alive. It's incredible.
I mean, an example being Nolan Raposa. I think for somebody who, you know, he's been growing up and surfing in America, I see him all the time, but I don't think globally he is nationally known. He did have a win in Chile, which was a big win for him at La Gringo, which was kind of the start of his international name. But he sits there at 7,975 points, and you think about what he needs to have as a goal. It's another quarterfinal finish. It's something, you know, big that he's going to have to do here in the next 3 events in order to keep that top 12 spot, since we're taking 12 men now.
And we got obviously in Europe for a couple of events. We'll go to France after this, and how important just to kind of keep that energy going, and you got this European leg and keep that form going. Get familiar with the waves and the tides, stuff like that, Ben?
Yeah, it's a learning curve for some of these surfers. Obviously, the Europeans, we talked about the Americans having a great sort of performances on home soil, but I think you'll see the Europeans, these guys coming up who have grown up here, they'll really push forward, because getting used to the tides, getting used to the wetsuits, getting used to the power, it's a bit of a learning curve. And of course, France with all its vagaries and its bakeries is hard work, as you well know, living there, Paul. So yeah, it's a adjustment curve, and they've got no time. If you're out, you lose your first heat, you're gone. So you got to adapt quickly.
Okay, we're talking of some of those European servers. We're going to bring one of them into the studio for a chat shortly. It's Federico Moraes, and he'll be joining us for a chat in the studio right after this break. Welcome back to the MEO Vissla Pro Ericeira. It's the morning show, day one of our waiting period. Misty skies over the valley here this morning. This right-hand point break just about making itself visible. A little bit of early morning fog. Our surfers and our decision makers kind of size up conditions. Decide exactly what we will be doing today. Of course, a bunch of talents hanging around this car park and this beach this morning, warming up, and some talent just coming to the studio to join myself and Ben Bundy. It's our world number 10 surfer from Portugal. He's the defending event champion here in Ericeira. It's Federico Moraes. Good morning, mate.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're pretty good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Like you said, foggy morning, so we can't really see the waves. But the forecast was supposed to be really fun today. Hopefully, we'll have some good waves.
2021 feels like a lot's happened for you. I'm guessing at the start of the year, you and your coach, Richard Marsh, you may be writing your goals down. I'd imagine it maybe top 10 finishes in there. That one's ticked off.
Yeah, that one's ticked off. We definitely had the top 10 finish on our goals for 2021. Even though it was a different year for me, because a lot of the events I like fell down because of COVID. So we ended up surfing a lot of beach breaks and a lot of different events. But during 2020, while everything was cancelled, I worked heaps with Dog up in France, and Dog came a few times to Portugal. So we really tried to improve my surfing and bring something new. And yeah, it felt good seeing that being rewarded in 2021.
What was your highlight, mate? What was your sort of standout sort of performance or sort of, day of the year for you?
I reckon Narrabeen was a really good event for me. Lefts, backhand, we didn't really have, the years I was on tour, we've never really had a left, like at least for turns. It's everything's barrels. We had Fiji, we had pipe, chopes, but for turns we've never had, while I was there. So it was good to show my backhand and show that I can surf on my backhand.
And now back home in Portugal, and this is a place that's been good to you in the past. Tell us a bit about surfing and competing on this wave here at Ribeira de Ilhas.
Well, I love it here. To be honest, I haven't surfed here since the event last year. Just because whenever it's good here, there's better waves to surf around the Ericeira, so it's hard to end up surfing here. But I used to come here heaps when I was a junior, when I was a Grom. I would come here every weekend with my father. I'm from Cascais, but it's only like a half an hour, 40-minute drive, so it's kind of mellow. And I love it here. It's such a fun wave. You can really work on your rail game and transitions. You kind of need to learn how to read the wave and everything. So yeah, stoked to be here. I've had good results here before, and yeah, can't wait to be back in the water.
And another big thing this year, you got a new dog, Fred.
Yeah,
I've heard it. Yeah. Tell me about this. What's his name? What's the story?
It's Taika. I got it before, just after I got the news from the Olympics, when I couldn't go and I got COVID. So me and my girlfriend, we got it. It's really fun. It's a really good company, and yeah, and it's been a fun journey. I've never had kids, so this is like a kid for me.
Yeah.
It's 3 months. So it's takes time and likes to destroy the house, but at the end of the day, it's really fun, and I really like it.
Yeah, it's like your other friend here, dog, like a small terrier that likes to destroy a house every now and again. But also, mate, what about the last time you said here you did surf? Here was a final against Vissla, and you beat him. So I mean, he's not one for forgetting those type of things, is he? So it must feel great to know that last time you surfed here in the Countdown series, you beat the then world champ.
Yeah. Obviously, Italo was the guy to beat over here. Especially he had 2019 just winning everything. Then he came to France, he won Anglais, then he won a couple more events. Then we had the event here. There's a lot of guys here. Cano was here, Leo was here, Italo was here. So it was really fun to surf the event. The waves were fun. And yeah, and ended up in the final with Italo and being able to come out to the win at home. It's special.
Generally speaking, we're here for qualifiers in Europe. From your point of view, a bit of pressure on you. Maybe you need a result, need to get something going. Everyone kind of looking at you and looking for a result. This year, a little bit different. You kind of maybe a little bit more of a fun approach. How's that panning? You don't really need the result, obviously, to qualify for next year.
Yeah, on that side of things, obviously not needing the result and not needing the points, it kind of gives you can breathe a bit better. But definitely there is the pressure of wanting to perform in front of home and in front of your friends in Portugal. So that pressure is there, but yeah, a bit more relaxed. But I'm still gonna face the event as if it's you really need to be patient and make sure you're on the right wave, because it's such a long paddle and such a long wave, so you don't really want to waste time just wiggling around and looking for a section. You really want those waves that kind of bend on, give you a good inside section, because most of the times you get one turn out the back and then you kind of just work yourself through the inside, and then that's where you get like 3 major turns and probably where you're gonna get the most points. And just try to get your lineups good, because it makes a huge difference being on the right spot, or just a beach break. Sometimes you kind of get away with it and the waves come your way and stuff, but here you kind of need to be on spot.
And in terms of being with this Challenger Series crew, a little bit different, feels familiar in terms of high level QS, but a little bit of new energy as well, and this tour being condensed down to 4 events this year. It's something different for 2021 and another new challenge for you as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's really good. There's only 4 events, but at the same time it's kind of fun, because you don't really have a big margin of error, so you gotta perform. You can't just you had a bad start of the year and then you'll end up winning 2 events at the end of the year. So this is gonna go. It's 4 events back to back, and you gotta perform. You can't make no mistakes, and that's where you're gonna see who deserves to be there and who's ready to be there. And
there's going to be some rabid QS guys, aren't there? All those guys in that top 100. You've been there. You know how hungry it is. But now when it all gets boiled, like every heat, they're going to be going for you, mate. Because you're a top seed too.
No.
It's on.
100%, 100%. You can't blink or you're going to lose your spot. That's for sure.
And just looking towards obviously the rest of this year in Europe, it's prime surf season here, getting some good waves, but are you already starting to think a little bit about next season, or is that getting ahead of ourselves? You maybe starting to think about kicking on again, obviously, from what you did this year?
Yeah, I took the decision of not going to the US Open. I'm not the biggest fan of the wave, but the event is really cool. And I was like, no, I'm just going to stay home, relax for the like for the first time, I don't need to go, so I'm just gonna stay home. And I ended up watching every single heat. I was just like, I wish I was there. So I think it's just so hard not to start thinking about the next season and what you want to do and get ready and start the preparation. Dog's here, so we probably start kind of prepping, I wouldn't say next year, but start working and slowly getting our routine back. Then obviously we're going into prime time in Europe. Winter is amazing here in Portugal, France, Morocco, so we can just, you know, everything's really close, so we can just drive around or fly quick flights. So I'm gonna do obviously the event in France after this one, and then from there I'll check the forecast and see if there's waves where it's good. If not, I'll just do a few more events.
Great stuff there. Thanks for joining us this morning. Good luck in the event. We're looking forward to seeing you surf. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Join us for more from the morning show and the call for today. That's right after the break. And a very warm welcome back to the MEO Vissla Pro Ericeira. Just had Federico Moraes joining us in the studio here this morning, himself and a bunch of other talents. Just waiting around to see exactly what the decision is going to be. We're going to be getting a call shortly. We're going to bring you that. But before we do that, we can sort of speculate a little bit as well. We've all looked at the forecast for the week. We're surfers after all, and things are looking pretty positive for the week, guys.
Yeah, go on, Pete. You're the guru when it comes to those readings, mate.
I have looked at the forecast myself, but it's always good to talk to the people that live here and see the forecast and actually understand it. I did just run into the crew that's actually helping make the call here. And they, you know, fog's out there right now, so probably won't be seeing competition right out of the gates. We'll probably have to wait a little bit and have a little bit of time on hold. But ultimately, after tomorrow, we're going to see a major increase. As you can see right there, that little yellow line from Surfline Forecast, it pops up pretty big for tomorrow. And then after that, winds are good. Swell is perfect for here. You don't want it too big here because it makes it a little tough to find the good quality waves. It pushes outside off the reef. You want that good 4 to 6 foot kind of style of wave, and that's what we have after tomorrow. I mean, it'll be pumping tomorrow, but then after that, it just looks magical. And they're so stoked. They're saying some of the best forecasts they've seen for this event in a very long time.
And I think it's that west swell too, which is quite important for this break. If that north swell sort of sweeps down a bit and can break a bit wide, but with that west swell, it can sort of condense straight on and hit that reef. So yeah, we've got waves. We've got some sort of after surf sessions coming our way too, Paul.
Tell you one of the ways.
Thinking selfishly a little bit, right? You can't help that.
We're feeling really positive about scoring some good waves, and of course, some of the best qualifiers in the world and some big names as well. They'll all be kind of waiting with bated breath to see exactly what's going to go down today. We're shortly going to bring you the call and see exactly what our running order is. But looks like it's going to be pumping down here, and we can't wait. Get underway.
Oh, there's some big names.
Send them out.
You know, we just heard Freddie here in world number 10. You know, it's like Ferreira. I mean, what more do we need? One of the most dynamic, explosive gold medalists at the Olympics. He'll be a bit burnt from some of the WSL finals where he got third. That'll still be raw, and he'll be wanting to come back stronger. So there, I'm really excited about seeing sort of Italo, what he can do out here, and it's so, especially if there's some swell, and that backhand of his is going to be electric.
Yeah.
He lit this place up last year, didn't he? We're here for the countdown series, and his energy was off the scale. But
Isn't his energy always off the scale?
Yeah, it is.
It's always redlined.
Yeah.
You mentioned that he remembers the result. I was listening to a podcast with him talking about a junior defeat that he had here to Vasco Ribeiro, one of our local heroes, like Fred Moraes.
And I was going to mention him, actually.
And he's still angry about that.
Yeah.
Slow.
He does.
He's still
Got to find
smarting.
drive somewhere. And
Yeah.
he definitely does. I mean, each low, that's in heat number 12. Caio Belli's out there, Ramsey Bookham, Vasco Ribeiro. I mean, it's an endless of this round of 96. There's 96 surfers who want it very badly, and they've gotten themselves qualified to be here. And this leg is the first time I think we've seen an actual leg where you're going to qualify for the championship tour. So you have to be on a roll. You have to have this next 2 months be on fire. You know, it have to have good equipment. You're going to have your board bag filled with them. You don't want to have broken boards. You want to have your magic board get taken away because you're not going to be able to get another one before the next event. It's literally on from now until Hawaii.
We're peeping into the fog and speculating slightly, but someone who knows exactly what's going on is Travis Logie, and he's standing by with Joanna Garnell.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Travis. Let us know, what's the call for today? What's going to happen?
Good morning, Joanna. We're going to be on hold, and we're going to come back at 8:35 just to have another look because the fog this morning is really thick. By all accounts, from the people coming in, there's fun little waves. I'm not sure there's enough swell, but we'll keep looking at it. We want to have at least a proper look at it, so another call at 8:35.
And any idea if we're going to start with the girls or the boys?
No idea yet. Both are on hold. Once we get a decent look at it, we'll make that call.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And back to you guys.
Thank you, Joanna. Trav with the hat just sort of perched on top of his head. I think that means he's been thinking a lot.
Yeah, he does. He's been scratching his forehead, just sort of furrowing his brow.
Usually likes a beanie for an early morning call,
Yeah.
but mixing it up. It's not cold this morning. It's pretty pleasant. I'm in short sleeves.
Yeah, I think we're going to be feeling that. I mean, it could conceivably get colder, right? I mean, the forecast has it dropping a few degrees, nothing major, but yeah, we'll see the beanie come out at some point on this leg.
Oh, God, I hope so. That's the only reason I came here. But yeah, you'll see that fog there this morning, but you just know that's going to burn off. And, you know, I reckon in a few hours, it's going to be bright Portuguese sun that afternoon. It'll steam up. Beautiful weather here at the moment. And yeah, there's waves out there, so I think we're looking good.
So our official call, we're on hold for about another 45 minutes. We're back and make a decision. Obviously, when there's fog out there, we just kind of got a little bit of a wait and see type of vibe to it, which we're familiar with in surfing. But, you know, a lot of talking points that we've had this morning about this tour and the talent in general. But broadly, overall, I think we're all just pretty stoked to be back. Surfing competition, it feels like we're kind of back, not where we were, but in an even better place than where we were before. It all went a bit weird.
Think about the WSL, what they've had to go through. I mean, we're a global association, right? Which means we're running global events, and every single country has got a different type of atmosphere to run events. I mean, America just now with all of the sports leagues there, they're going full bore. I mean, the stadiums are filled. I think that's starting to happen here in Europe slightly, which I don't know if it's a good call or bad call or whatever, but it's ultimately something that where people need to have some joy in life, and sport brings that. And I'm excited to see surfing back. I'm glad that we're able to have this again. I keep talking about this leg of Challenger Series, but we're here in Portugal, and then we're into France, and we're into Hawaii, and those are the best time of year. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more, and you've got 96 of the most hungry and 48 of the most hungry women. It is exciting. I already had the vibe from the U.S. Open. I felt the energy there, and I feel like it's translating right into this event here. And ultimately, you look at a forecast like we've got for Portugal right now, and we're going to see some great surfing.
I think it's almost their time to shine too. The CT is obviously the pinnacle of the sport, and we all love it. But just to have these, you know, all these QS, all these qualifying series, often the next sort of generation too coming up, and it's their time. They're on the main sort of show, the main stadium as it is. I'm really looking forward to seeing those.
And we're seeing it too. I mean, the talent from the youth that we saw at the U.S. Open on the women's side and the men's side. Griffin getting his first big major win, and it's something that, I mean, to have him win on American soil with all of his posse there, I think that you're going to see the same kind of thing happen in Europe. I feel like there's going to be this kind of, charge from the European crew to kind of get themselves, especially when they see all those red, white, and blue flags sitting on the top of the rankings. That's going to change quickly.
And those are the scenes down here at Ribeira Dilias this morning. The MEO Vissla Pro Ericeira opening day of our waiting period. We've got a little bit of a fog situation, as you can make out. And just through that fog, we just saw Amura Suzuki, one of those surfers who's had a little bit of a kind of emotional roller coaster in terms of where she was, and she thought she got a spot through Carissa and then because of the year that never happened. Carissa took her spot back, so Amora will be looking for a result. She was epic in Galicia. She actually got that qualification run in Pantin and those running lefts. Be great to see how she does. And on that women's side, a bunch of cool stories. It almost feels like that new chapter being written, Pete.
It's part of it, you know, and I think that that's what we're going to bring up the story, is that we want to talk about those new faces and what they can bring to the tour. And I'm, again, excited about it.
Tons of talking points at the MEO Vissla Pro Ericeira. We're going to go on hold. We'll be back 8:30 local time. WorldSurfLeague.com. Join us for more live action from beautiful Ericeira. We'll see you soon.